This podcast is a member of the Place to Be Nation family. Visit us at placetobenation.com, the only place to be in your pop culture world.
Place to Be Nation, welcome back to a long-awaited, most anticipated, or at least I think you should anticipate it, episode of Telly And Tea. And today, we're going to be spilling a lot of tea. But I can't spill the tea alone. So, of course, as always, the other half, my counterpart, my cohort in this adventure, because there has to be another part to this, Mr. Ben. Ben, how are you doing this evening?
My head, you just made my head explode. We are back, Miranda. I am wonderful. How are you?
I am good. I am fully vaxxed, and I can eat in a restaurant now. So I'd say pretty good.
I'm half vaxxed. We're allowed to eat in a restaurant. D-Day for us is Monday. That is when we get told whether or not restrictions are lifted totally. I think chances are they won't be, however. But I think I don't think we'll be going back to square one. I just think it'll be a holding pattern, if that makes sense.
I agree, because we still can't technically cross borders super easily. There's a few countries we have agreements with if you're vaccinated.
Yes.
And we still have to wear masks inside, like shopping centers.
Yeah, so. we still got to wear all that. But it was quite bizarre today. I mean, I was around my mum's house today, and you will be aware of the rules of the sport of cricket, but there was a cricket match on between England and New Zealand, and in this ground there was 18,000 people. Now I know America have already started having big, massive, mass.
They have,
people at sporting events already, but this is the first event of that size taking place. Wow. And my mum was like, they're not socially distancing. They're not doing anything. I was like, yes, Mum. They know the rules. They know what they signed up for. They've not just showed up on the day and gone, oh shit, there's all these people.
It is strange, though. I mean, is it?
It was bizarre. I was like, and where the game's being played, like usually cricket, it's quite sedate, quite quiet. It's in a place called Edgbaston in Birmingham, and they are loud there. They are loud. So it was all this noise and hubbub was going on, and it was all very bizarre watching it.
It's super crazy. Jerry was rewatching a UFC fight, and I couldn't remember when it took place. And I'm watching it, and I'm like, oh, so clearly this is an old one. And he goes, yeah, why? And I was like, well, there's a crowd of people. There's a giant crowd of people, and no one's wearing a mask. So this is at least 2 years old.
I think I said we were watching a quiz show at home again, and I said, "Oh, this is clearly a repeat. There's no panel between the contestants. Right. There's no the host is clutching people."
Right, they're actually hugging. Wait, what is that?
Yes. Yeah. They're actually hugging and kissing and saying "well done." It's like what?
I got an email after my second vaccination explaining how you might feel, and they were like, but once you feel better, it's safe to hug. And I was like, oh, okay, sure, okay, this is a thing. I didn't know we were telling people they could hug again, but
well, I do think I think hugging's gonna come back, but I do think there's a lot of things out of this that we're gonna keep.
I think so too. I truly think so.
Like the whole social distancing in a queue, for example. I think that's just one example of the top of my head. But I
love that because
I do.
No, I do too. I love the whole stay 6 feet or however many meters it is away from me while I'm in line to pay.
Yes.
Because I can't stand it drives me crazy when there's that person. And you can literally turn and almost brush lips with them because they're so close to you. If you turned around, your face would be in their face. I cannot stand that. I have a bubble that you should not be in. Especially if I don't know you, like, why are you that close to me? I did not give birth to you, and I am not married to you, and even those two people do
We
not
call,
stand that close to me. Like,
we call those people mouth breathers.
yes. I also think I've seen a lot more fist bumping. I don't know about like around town for you guys, but I've seen more fist bumping and instead of handshaking. And I know
Well,
fist bumping was already here, but I feel like it's more prevalent now. I think that's staying as well.
well, we had a thing the other day that this guy came to our, I work in a shop, and this guy came to do a sample day,
Hmm.
and it's somebody who I knew from about 20 years ago, and I went to shake his hand, and it was, like, I just totally forgot. And he was like, "No, we don't do that anymore, Ben." And he did the whole shoulder, the elbow thing with me. I was like,
Yeah,
"Oh, okay, I can do that now."
yeah. Like apparently we do elbows and fist bumps now.
Yeah, but like I say, I'm half vaccinated. My next one's August, and then hopefully, well, I mean, hopefully, fingers crossed, we're out of it by the 21st is when we're meant to be out of it. But
Right?
like, I honestly don't think we will be. But I also don't think it's going to be a thing of we're going to be going back to square one. It's just going to be a holding
Yeah.
back and see because the government here have got enough flack over that whole travel restrictions thing that I don't think they can. I basically don't think they can afford it to go back again.
Yeah. Yeah.
They literally cannot afford it.
No. No. It's just I don't know. I guess we'll see where it goes from here. Um, did you have any problems with your first shot? I don't think you did. I couldn't remember.
It was good. It just hurt like a bitch, if I'm being
Really?
honest. Like it was like, and I think I said in the chat, a couple of chats. It was basically like when you get the bruise on your arm, somebody's just pressing the bruise all day. That's what it
Yes.
was.
Okay.
It was an annoying. I wasn't like throwing up or I didn't have any bad reactions to it or anything like that. It was just more of a when you try and do your job, which involves lifting heavy objects, and you can't lift
Right.
you can't. By the Thursday, I was absolutely fine. It was literally just the day after.
Oh wow. So my first shot, I had absolutely like no reaction. Well, like that night I went home, like I didn't even feel the lady give me my shot. Like I almost questioned
Yeah,
if she did. And I went home, and later that afternoon I had that feeling of like, oh, I might be getting sick. But then I went to bed. Nothing ever happened. I woke up with like a light, like a hey, I'm dehydrated headache. No
yeah.
biggie. And then I went on and lived my life. And it was perfect and it was wonderful. And then I actually just went this week and got dose number 2 on Tuesday. And Tuesday evening, I looked at my husband and I said, I don't feel very good. And he goes, I was afraid this was going to happen. I was like, yeah, me too. And I crashed like super
Oh
hard.
god.
And then Wednesday, I woke up and he was like, how are you feeling? I was like, my whole body just feels like someone beat me up. Like where I ran a low fever and I just felt like hot, like and tired. You know that like feeling when you take medication and it makes you loopy on purpose and you're kind of floaty and tired?
Yeah.
That's how I have felt essentially since Tuesday. I don't have a fever anymore. And I obviously, as you can hear me, I'm fine. I am just extremely like tired, but not sleepy. It's like my body's just tired. But
Yeah.
and my arm does hurt this time. I felt the guy because it was a different person. Like it pinched really bad. I was like, son of a like this one was uncomfortable. But and it obviously has to do with the administration of it because it's the exact same medicine. Like nothing is different about shot 1 and shot 2. So I clearly think that
Which
had something to do with like how he did it. Like
yeah, because I mean, I don't know if it's the same where you were, but for us, they made it very clear like the shot you had for shot 1 was going to be the same shot you were going to have for shot 2. There was no
yes.
mix.
Yeah. They were very adamant about that too.
So
They're like, you do understand it's the same.
yeah, my mum's partner. So on his first jab, he had the first jab, I think about 10, 11 o'clock in the morning, and then he had a really bad reaction to it at like 9 o'clock at night to the point where he was, they had to take him into hospital. He was hospitalized because of it.
Oh
And then,
gosh.
yeah, even he's okay now. He's okay now, but like on Sunday morning, but he said he was absolutely fine. Absolutely fine. So we don't know what happened.
Huh. Well, I'm glad he's fine though, so that all works out.
He's a good lad, isn't he? He's a good lad.
Good. Well, and in case you guys are wondering, we keep calling it the jab because in this part of the world, they're not saying come in for your vaccine or come in for your shot. They literally are calling it make sure you get your jab, like the news and everyone. So in this part of the world, you must get your jab.
I think we I mean, it doesn't matter really what kind of thing it is. It's always been a jab or a shot. I think,
Yeah. But I'd always just called it a shot or a vaccine, and then I get over here and everybody's like referring to it as the jab, and I'm like, oh, okay. The jab. We're having a jab. Well, to make me feel better, because I feel kind of tired, Ben picked our lovely tea, because we're going to do some changing of things here at Telly and Tea just a little bit. And we haven't given you guys a tea here lately because we were like, hey, we're going to deviate from the program a little. Well, we're bringing back tea to every episode, but we're deviating again a little. So,
yes.
If you were here and you started following us because we were having deep, poetic conversations about 24 and Jack Bauer, we love you, we hear you, we see you, but Jack Bauer's been put on hold.
we might still have deep poetic conversations.
Right, we might. He comes up randomly sometimes between you and I. But
I think, sorry, Miranda, I know you're on the flow. I think it was the thing of both of us.
Yes.
The way we are, we both wanted till we were like, yeah, these shows are still great. As much as 24 episodes of 24 in a month, 6-week period is a slog. I'm not going to lie. Even season 1, which is which I would consider the best season, that is still a lot of, there's a lot going on.
It is a lot. And both of us kept getting, I don't know how far you got, but we had this whole discussion and both of us kept only getting a few episodes of season 2 in. Yeah. And then we would take a break and then we would message the other one and be like, hey, how are you doing? And then finally the other one would admit, I'm not doing very well. And I'd be like, oh, thank God, me too. And then we even made a goal and we were like, hey, let's set this goal together. Friends would united. And then we both messaged each other 2 days before the goal date. And we were both like, yeah, no, it didn't happen.
Yeah, but we were honest with each other about it.
We were. We have been very honest with each other about this whole thing. But for some reason, even though it is still one of both of our favorite shows, and it actually is what led to our friendship, we're putting it on the back burner. And we're going to talk about, we're still going to keep up with television shows. And we're going to take turns talking about them. And we have a whole list of shows that we're going to talk about. Today, because we're just trying to catch you up on where we've been and what we've been doing and what's to come and how you can start expecting us monthly again.
We'll be here monthly. We will.
We will. So with that, we're going to today talk about, our tea. Ben has brought us a tea that we're going to discuss for a moment. And then we're going to talk about one of our favorite shows that we both shared. And we're going to talk about a show that recently ended that was a limited series that everyone loved. And we're just going to give you our brief synopsis conclusion to that. And then, I don't know, but we're going to have a nice little conversation and spill the tea about the tea and about some shows. And if you have suggestions of shows that you might want Ben and I to cover, because we're just letting Jack kind of sit on the shelf for a moment, send them to us.
He's going to be staring lovingly at us from the shelf.
He is.
To him.
Well, yeah, and you know what? We may throw him in there, but if you guys remember episode 1, just talking about season 1 and without our other segments that we really want to bring you guys, we were like, oh my God, have we been talking that long about season 1? And I was pumped and drained at the same time, if that makes any sense.
didn't I make the point whilst we were talking, like, we've got an hour without actually mentioning Nina, and she's like the main, like,
Yeah, and we were like, oh, and then we were both like, fucking Nina. Like, it's great. But
I think the other thing, Miranda, I think we just need to say before we start the tea bit is you've moved house again, so now your schedule's a bit more in flow, so we'll be able to like record a bit more freely because what you were actually recording in a cupboard, weren't you?
Kind of, sorta. So I was like, hey, Paul, under the stairs. Yeah, so for a few times I actually recorded from our hall closet. You're familiar with European flats, so it was just a closet in the main floor of the flat that...
Just imagine Harry
Right.
Potter and the Weasley's kids.
Yes, but it was the only place for me to record where I could record after Derry and Caden went to bed. And I was like, I'm tired of sitting on this closet floor. I did it one time to do a couple of Disney episodes with Andy. And I was like, I literally am like in the closet recording a podcast. This is hysterical. So I actually started recording from my bedroom, which coincidentally means that my husband couldn't go to bed until I was done recording. And he gets up at like 5 a.m., so that was a problem.
Yeah, I can't imagine him being too upset at that.
No, and he's been super nice about it. Like Andy and I, all the time, I'm like, okay, we're gonna be done by this time, and Andy and I are never done by that time, just because like different things, like we're trying to like make plans for the feed in general, or just different things, office stuff that you gotta do when you're in a feed, and so. My husband's always really calm about it, but he's like, anytime you tell me you're going to be done on time, I know you're not going to be. So, but a new flat came open and we had no thoughts of moving. We were content with our home, but a flat came open and I now have a studio. Like I have a recording studio, but also during the day is a homeschool room for my son, but I have a recording studio, so it will be much easier now.
Yay!
Yes. So.
Yeah, just inside the actor studio, this is actually, even though there is only an hour time difference between us two, this is the first time we are recording at night.
It is, because usually, like when I was in the U.S., we would do like a weird midday for me kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then since I've been over here, you and I have been just like in the middle of the day on your day off because we're only an hour apart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully now my work schedule's a little bit more like stable as well. I've got a new boss and he's giving me like he's going to be giving me the same days off as of like when I get back. So yay.
Awesome.
Yeah. Let's get to the tea though. I feel like I've cut you off.
So. Ben, I had you pick this time because I think technically I picked the first tea that we did. So you chose this time, and tell the good people what you chose and why you chose this one.
I went for quite a traditional tea again. So Earl Grey's probably the most famous tea, isn't it? And I would say,
I'd say so.
I would say my pick, what I've chose is second or third on this. You might go for an Assam rather than this. The one I've picked is an English breakfast tea, and the reason I picked it is I just saw it. I know this is going to sound like the most random reason ever. I just literally saw it at work night. I was like, "Oh, that sounds lovely." I said, "I haven't had one of them for ages."
There you go.
That was it.
I actually love that that's the reason why you picked it. You're like, that sounds lovely, and I haven't had it. I was kind of excited because I messaged you and I was like, pick a tea so I could go to the store. And you were like, okay. And so you did. And then I love this tea. It's one of my favorites. But I was kind of bummed because I was like, oh, I don't have a reason to go to the tea store. Because I found this lovely little tea shop around the corner, and they're fantastic. So, but I drank all of the Earl Grey. And this is my last English breakfast, so I actually do have a reason to go to the tea shop.
Well, there you go. I provide a service here.
You did.
It's been a lot. It's been a wee while since I've had this, so I was really that was another reason why I picked it. I was like, I'm dad want this one for a bit.
So how do you take, because this is a big discussion, how do you take your English breakfast tea? Like, what have you done to it today?
So literally, put the tea bag in, put my sugar in, put my hot water in, and then put my milk in, and that's it.
Okay.
I'm a very boring traditionalist like that.
That's fine. I also have a tea bag this time. So I actually cheat a little and I use a Nespresso thing to get hot water from. And I put my tea bag in and hit the thing for the hot water. And then I add my honey and that's it.
Okay, I've never had honey in tea.
Oh, really?
Really?
Interesting. I didn't realize that. I did not know. I learned something new about Ben. I did not know that. I actually use honey. And if for some reason like I'm out of honey, which has happened a couple of times, I use coconut sugar, which I did not use before moving here. We had like a couple of bags of it because Jerry couldn't find sugar one time. And it's actually quite tasty and it dissolves really well.
But I really like I'm just drinking it now, and it's really like a full-bodied, a rich taste texture to it, but it doesn't overpower you. You know what I mean? No. It's not like say a chamomile that's going to take over your senses.
Right, or a peppermint or something like that we will get to. And you're right, English breakfast is a black tea blend again. So we're kind of been in the black tea family here for the last one. It is described, you did perfectly because according to like how you would describe it, it's considered full-bodied, robust, and rich. And it says it does go well with milk and sugar because not all teas go well with milk and sugar. No.
But I don't know if it is just an English thing, but yeah, milk and sugar are, staples of your cup of tea over here.
It's kind of like going in coffee in America. Like it's very common for people to put milk and sugar in their coffee in the US. It's very common for people to put milk and sugar in their tea. But there's a lady going around TikTok, and Ben and I would advise you to not follow her directions. She does not want to know what she's talking about, and I'm sure all of you know of the lady I'm referring to. I truly don't even know her name. I just know somebody sent the video to me and Ben, and we were like, what in the sacrilegiousness
it's just
is this? This is crazy. Although I did forget to tell you a new tidbit about my new place.
Go on.
So in our building, there are actually obviously other people that live here. It's a small little area. And there's like one family that they own like 3 of the flats in here. Like the grandparents live in one, the kid and their kids live in the others. But the 2 flats downstairs in the courtyard area, both house British families.
Ah, cool.
I know. I was like, oh, this is cool. So a lot of people in my little building actually speak English because they're British.
Excellent.
It's fantastic. But now I can't yell at Caden when he's in trouble and people not know what's going on anymore. Not that I do, but it's just funny, funny.
You can't get away with it.
Yeah, Jerry and I don't have code language anymore. So while we are sipping on our English breakfast, which we will be doing throughout our episode, and then when I finish, I have some water.
If we sound like caffeined up or whatever later on, why.
Right? Well, I actually, because I was feeling tired from the shot, I have had 2 iced coffees today and a Coke Zero Cherry, and now this. So if I suddenly get like, it's because Miranda has had far too much caffeine for the day.
Yeah, my sister made me an iced coffee earlier on. I was like, oh my, this is.
Yes. Like, I don't know. I was always a person that loved the smell of coffee, but I really didn't drink much coffee, and I don't know what it is, but coffee is much better over here. So I actually do usually drink a cup, sometimes 2 a day now.
Like cold coffees or frappuccinos or frestinos, however you want to call them, whether you go to Starbucks or Costa, other coffee shops are available. They will. That's the only thing I have is the cold drinks.
I love the cold ones the most, honestly.
Oh, yeah.
So a little show that everyone seemed to be talking about a lot and still talking about, that was a mini series, if you will, a limited edition series, whatever. And we had actually an amazing group here on Place to Be Nation that discussed the show in full depth. Like they have an episode for every episode, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
So if you want to get really deep and into the nitty gritty of where this show goes, please check that out. Of course, we're talking about Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which began streaming on Disney Plus on March 19th and had a fantabulous cast. I forget how many episodes we ended up with, but it was phenomenal.
It was sick.
Yes. So we're going to give you what we thought about it. And we do still encourage you to go listen to our friends and their full breakdown of this show, since we are not giving it a full breakdown.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. So yeah. Go to Pop if you want like an episode by episode breakdown. Yeah, then yes, the Pop Go to the Couch Boys.
Yes.
For that quite handily. Ours will be more of the overview and where we reckon things are going next, and all that kind of stuff.
There will be spoilers, though, so if you don't want to hear them, obviously wait to listen to our friends and skip ahead on us just a little bit.
We'll put a chapter break in. Break. That's how old school we're going.
Play the Jeopardy song or something. So this show kind of came out with a bang.
Absolutely.
I absolutely loved seeing Anthony Mackie and Sebastian Stan back on the screen together. They just have this chemistry that is undeniable. They banter really well with each other, and they play off of each other very, very well.
Well, it was interesting to me, particularly watching that first episode. First of all, you had like that fantastic fight plane scene at the beginning.
Oh yeah.
And one of the best fight scenes ever in the MCU, in the whole thing, I would say, to be honest. And I think we said a couple of on one of our previous episodes when we talked about WandaVision. I think we said we thought this was going to be like a buddy, almost like a buddy cop show.
Yeah, we did. And
that first episode gave you that vibe, but it didn't turn out like that at all.
No.
But it's gonna sound harsh. I don't mean it to sound as harsh as I'm gonna make it sound, which
okay
in advance. But towards the end, I felt like Bucky, there was no need for him to be there. It turned into the Falcon show.
Yeah, and that was brought up
by episode 5 and 6, I'd say.
Yeah, and somebody else said that too. And actually, I don't remember what it was about episode 1. Somebody was like, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. This seems like more of just episode 1 also seemed like it was just one-sided, And then you got 2, 3, and 4, and it was like, oh, okay, we're together. And then you're right. At one point, it's more back to just one of them again. But I think that was maybe on purpose.
Yeah, I think the overriding story was obviously the whole thing of, Falcon giving up the shield and then becoming Captain America again, and it was also the script writers and the Marvel people's way of, having their essay on Black Lives Matter, particularly at the end. And
I won't lie, that last episode, jumping ahead a little since you are talking about that, there are a lot of parts in that last episode where I cried a lot.
Yeah. I can believe that.
Very touching. I cried.
I'm only mentioning that last episode a lot because I watched it about an hour ago, just to get my head.
It's a phenomenal episode. It's very well done.
Yes.
And there is a hatred for Wyatt Russell's character, John Walker, that I didn't know I could hate a character so much.
It was a chin, wasn't it? Let's be honest, it was a chin.
No, because actually it's really funny. If you look at him, you can tell exactly whose kid he is, by the way.
Yeah, oh yeah.
He looks like part of his face is his mom and part of his face is his dad, without question. I knew who he was before they cast him, and when they announced that they had cast him, and this is he was going to play Cap. I was like, okay, maybe. I like Wyatt Russell. And then he put the suit on, and I was like, you're not allowed to wear that, sir. Take it off.
You've got to earn it, damn it.
Right. That does not belong to you.
Well, I think I said it on the WandaVision episode again, where I'm like, I don't know the Marvel universe I only know it through the films and the TV shows. I think I said I couldn't even tell you the last comic I read. I'll be honest. But so I actually really enjoyed the whole bit of, this is a Captain America gone bad. I quite like that.
Right.
That was really good to me. Like, I think it's in episode 4 or 5 when he's having to have that morality. No, episode 4, isn't it? Where he's having that morality play of,
I think 3 is when you
him or not.
Yeah. I think 4 is when the thing happens that everybody just kind of like stopped breathing.
Yes.
But I actually looked at my husband at the end of, I think, 2, which there was a lot of buddy cop in that banter. I liked 2, had a lot of banter between Wyatt Russell's Cap and Bucky and Anthony Mackie, and then his little, the new Cap's sidekick. I have forgotten his name. He actually, in the comics, has a whole different storyline, but Battlestar.
Battlestar, was it? Not
Yeah,
Star's Dave Bowie album.
Yeah, he has a whole different storyline in Hoskins, Battlestar has a different storyline in the comics. But there's this whole scene with Hoskins and John Walker and Anthony Mackie and Sebastian Stan, and they've got like this whole like 4-way argument going on, but they're like almost picking each other like kids, and I loved that. But when that episode ended, I looked at my husband, and I don't know if you've seen The Boys on Amazon.
If I have, love The Boys.
Okay, so I actually looked at Jerry, and I said, why do I get Homelander vibes from him?
Yeah. There was definitely a whole thing of like, what's his game? He's like,
right.
I mean, he's not. He wasn't just like. It wasn't just the fact that he's not Captain. He's literally not Captain America. It's like you say, he's got no business to wear that suit.
He doesn't.
What is going on here? It was that whole interesting dynamic of the guy who should be the guy and being the higher ups picking of the guy. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that.
And I think it actually brings up like without going too deep and like people being all like, wow, I can't believe she went there. But I'm going to go there for just a brief second. And that is, it kind of also touches on the fact the present day, not in comics, there is a bit of, or there's a lack rather. I can't speak for other countries' armies or, military, but I can speak from experience of the American military that they do not give enough support to people like John Walker, because that's what he was. He was a serviceman in the American military, and this is proof that they do not give them enough mental help support when they've gone through the things that they've gone through. And that is why a man like this that has severe PTSD and has seen things that people should not see should not be given the shield of Captain America. Like,
it was very interesting just on the piggyback on that, like how many adult themes and like you consider Marvel. Like my nephew's 7 years old, right, and he loves Marvel, adores it. But this, I didn't actually watch it with him, but I was like, I was uncomfortable. I was thinking about like him watching this, and I said, "Have you watched Falcon and the Winter Soldier?" And he was like, "Oh yeah, I've seen it all." I was like, there's quite a lot of we're not just talking like cartoon violence. There's a lot of fight.
Yes.
Gunshots to the head and all that. Hey, there's all these adult themes. There's major adult themes about race. There's major adult themes about, like you say, PTSD and.
I mean, even with Bucky, like Bucky is dealing with PTSD and.
Bucky's whole character arc through this is that book of people he's killed and having to deal with all that.
Like paying penance, basically. And John Walker, without having the cap shield and without getting any serum, is a man that is struggling with things that he's seen and things he's been part of. And Carly's character, which again in the comics is a man and it plays out differently, but even Carly's character, like, you sympathize with her because there's this like whole line where she basically explains why she's doing this. Now, in the end, what I think the way she was going about it was wrong, but she makes a good point. Here are all these people, and we talked about this briefly in WandaVision with Monica Rambeau, and how we were it was sad to see, but we were happy to see how they brought back these people. Yeah. And, for example, like, she just appeared where she disappeared from, and these years have passed. Well, people like Carly have been here this whole time, and suddenly it's like, hooray, everybody's back, and the people that were here the whole time have been forgotten about and pushed to the side because the ones that have returned are more important. There are a lot of adult themes in this. You're very correct, because again, like, we're dealing with loss, we're dealing with change, we're dealing with mental health, we're dealing with racial issues, we're dealing with a lot here, the good versus evil in the sense of, like, we deal with good versus evil every single day. And I get that these are superheroes, and I know we don't actually have superheroes. Yeah, we have people that are our versions of superheroes, but it just shows you, like, how human they are at the same time. And one of the big things that I also loved that they got into is a question I've been asking for a long time is, okay, let's think about this for a second. We know Iron Man is independently wealthy, and we know his family is doing just fine. But people like Bucky and Falcon, like, where does their money come from? Like, how is their family financially stable? Are they not financially stable? Like, how are things taken care of? And they actually talked about that too. So they also talk about, like, financial crisis of people in the U.S., both because of color and otherwise just being lower class. This was a lot. This was a very hard hitting. Like, I cried multiple times because it's just so real.
It was like that episode. I think episode 5, wasn't it? And I can't remember the exact line, but it said, so we're basically gonna do nothing until somebody does something. And I think it said, yeah, that's exactly what we're gonna do. And that whole episode for 55 minutes is just them on the boat fixing the boat.
Yeah,
probably one of the best episodes of the entire season. You're watching a superhero show expecting, like, big things happen, and it's not. It's about these inter-family relationships and relationships and all that kind of thing.
But what happens when the superheroes go home and they're not superheroes? They still have to pay bills, and they still have to.
They're not Falcon the Winter Soldier. They're just Sam and Bucky who go away for a few more weeks.
That's like when he goes to the bank to get a loan to take care of his family, and the guy doesn't know who he is at first, and he, then he's like, oh man, he gets all excited, and he's like, can you sign this? Can you do this? Can you blah? And then he's like, what about the loan? And he's like, oh, I can't do that. And just like, there's still people. They're, like, it's very strange, but it's very interesting at the same time, because it answered a question that I've always wanted to know, is like, like we were talking with WandaVision, I wanted to know, like, what about the people that had disappeared and then just reappeared? Like, we knew that they showed back up, but, like, how and how does that work? And so they answered that then. And my question now was money. Like, how does this work? Like,
No, I mean, I don't want to keep going back to the racing, but it was sort of the prevailing theme of the show. Like,
I would agree.
They used the blip as a sort of allegory for Black Lives Matter, didn't they? They basically said, when even Sam said, I'm a black man carrying a shield, with red and white stripes on it. How do you think I feel?
Yeah.
And I actually found not necessarily the racing, but like that whole thing of these people are coming back from the blip, and they've got to integrate themselves back into life. You picked up on you said something very about Carly, and I know you don't follow wrestling, Miranda, but there's a very well known thing and saying about wrestling where the heel or the bad guy, the best the bad guy are the ones who believe everything they say.
Yes.
We know at home it's not right. But if they believe it, they're going to make a believer out of you.
Yeah.
And that's what Carly did. She wasn't right. She wasn't right about anything. But because she she can said it with enough passion and conviction, that's when we believe it. Same with.
Well, she was valid in her feelings. Like she was going about it the wrong way, but she was very valid in how she felt. And like you said, she said it with she said her feelings and with such passion and such conviction and such like prevalence from the heart that people believed her. And she believed every word of what she was saying.
Every word that came out of her mouth, she agreed. And same to a point with Zemo and Sharon.
Yeah.
They're the anti-heroes. And they were believing everything they said.
Exactly.
It's gonna be spoiler alert, it's gonna be so interesting where to go with Sharon now. Now she's back in.
Oh, for sure. I actually really love Sharon. So we'll see how this goes. We will see how this goes. Her character of Sharon reminds me of a character that she played at my first introduction to her, which was a show called Revenge. Yeah. It was a fantastic show. It aired for 3-4 seasons. I can't remember exactly. It's phenomenal. You should check it out. But her character very much reminds me of that because she is taking revenge for a lot that happened in her family, and she's very like kick ass and take names and.
Serious question though, Miranda. Serious question, because I don't know if you're a fan of these two of the shows she's most famous for. But how much did you pop when you saw Julia Louis-Dreyfus appear on screen? Because I have to be honest, I lost my shit.
I love her. I'm not a big fan of the show that she's very well known for. You and I've had this discussion. I think it's a little overrated, but it had really good independent episodes. That's what I'll say. But when she came up, I was like, yeah! And that, I love her, and that was a perfect character for her to play. And I'm hoping that comes back in later.
It's definitely gonna be like I say. I think you're gonna have this thing with Sharon's on the inside now, so she's something's gonna happen there, and then obviously. The whole John Walker turning into U.S. agent, which I did not know that was a thing.
So he actually becomes a different superhero in one of the comic lines. His name is evading me at this moment of what his character's name is. You've probably heard it when...
It's U.S. agent, isn't it? Have I read that wrong? Is that the character's name?
No, it's... I can't think. My brain... It's been a long time since I've read any comics. I actually told my husband tonight I really think I wanted to get back into reading comics. It's just that... One, trying to get English comics here is a little difficult. Two, they take up a lot of space. They really do. And three, I actually have access to read them digitally, but I don't like reading comics digitally. That sounds really snobbish, but I don't.
You like the feel of the paper.
I guess, and it's also the way it breaks it up. Usually when you're reading it digitally, yes, you can get the whole page on your screen at one time, like if you were holding the book.
I've looked at our good friends at Wiki. Are you thinking of Super Patriot?
Yes, the Patriot.
I'm pretending like I know this. I've literally just looked at Wikipedia for.
Yeah. So yeah, Patriot, and because the costume that we see him making later, we come up with later, it actually is very reminiscent of Patriot's costume. So not to be confused with the 2000 film The Patriot, that is totally different, but that is a very good film. But one should watch that. Anyway.
But in brief, not in closing, but in brief, yeah, I really, really, really enjoyed it. It's no WandaVision, but I don't think anything will be, frankly, in my heart, in my life at the moment. But I thought as a show it was really, really good. Really enjoyed it.
But I hate George St. Pierre, and he could have gone on somewhere. I'll just add that in.
You didn't like GSP as a French sympathizer?
I'm a UFC fan. And I actually will admit that I used to be a huge George St. Pierre girl. For obvious reasons. I will not lie.
Ooh, let me think.
The same reasons your mom and sister would be like, yeah. So I used to be a huge fan of George St. Pierre. And then there was a season of The Ultimate Fighter where they have two very well-known fighters that build a team, or they coach teams.
There we go.
And then they pair off and fight down until you have final two, and it actually ends up being a pay-per-view event, and one becomes the winner and gets to be part of the UFC, right?
Yeah.
Well, season with George St. Pierre came, and he was going to be the coach, and I was like, heck yeah. He was the shittiest coach ever. Like, he didn't show up for these guys. Like, it's fighting day, and they haven't seen him for weeks, and I'm like, this guy is an ass. Like, he cares about himself only, and that was the day that I no longer liked George St. Pierre, because I was like, you are an asshole. You're just an asshole. See, at least with Conor, at least with Conor McGregor, because I know somebody's going to come at me on the internet with this, at least with Conor McGregor, because yes, I'm a Conor McGregor fan, he came out the gate an asshole and has never pretended to be anything different. So, anyway, my sidebar on UFC fights there, but no.
And breathe.
Insane. No. So, yes, like, while all of my compatriots here at Place B Nation are big wrestling fans, I have one wrestler that I adore to the end of the earth. But I love UFC.
No, UFC's great. You'll never hear me say anything bad about UFC.
It's fantastic. But yes, the show overall, Daniel Bruhl back as Zemo, fantastic.
Yeah.
The casting was amazing. I really like to see where they go, just kind of closing it up and getting off my tirade. I really want to see where they go further with this. I am excited for Falcon to be Falcon America, whatever we're going to call it. I think we're calling him Captain America.
Yeah, they're doing a fourth film, aren't they? A fourth Captain America film.
Yes,
so.
And obviously we know now that it's going to be Anthony Mackie, which, by the way, I have watched since this and prior to this. I've watched a lot more Anthony Mackie works, and this guy's a badass. Like,
oh, yeah.
I adore Anthony Mackie. Like, you should, like, before he was one of those people that, like, I kind of liked him. Okay. You really guys should look up the things that he's done in the past few years and go and, like, watch it all. Yeah, he's just really awesome.
And like we said, I think obviously you got four film. I reckon there'll be at least two more series of this. I think that's going to be a thing.
Yeah.
I want to see. I know it was the Falcon story, like I say. So there's a whole world for Bucky's, to step up, and that I cannot wait to see some of that. That's going to be amazing.
There's big talk about him possibly becoming White Wolf. I would be okay with that and seeing that as well. I loved this version of Bucky in this.
Well, like I say, now I think he's closed the book, literally. I think now he can, move forward with his life.
Right.
He
could be different. I think he will still be part of, because he and Falcon are so close. I did like the parts where he was flirting with his sister, and he was like, "Don't go there, Bucky."
Yeah, so don't flirt with. Yeah, you can do anything you want, but don't flirt with my sister.
Right. So I would like to see where that goes. I think he's a great actor as well. So I see, looking at his IMDb, that he has several things coming up in the works. So I'm going to check those out. To go with this show, I haven't watched it, but I think it's something worth you and I exploring. The What If show that has come to Disney Plus.
All right.
It's like, what if? So episode 1, season 1 is actually out. I think it's I don't know how many episodes are out. And it's what would have happened if Peggy Carter and not Steve Rogers had taken the super soldier serum as part of the World War II experience.
Okay.
So it's from Marvel Studios in conjunction with Disney Plus, obviously, and it's kind of exploring pivotal moments from the Marvel Cinematic Universe and turning them on their head, leading the audience into kind of an uncharted territory of what if this happened. It looks like is set to be 11 episodes, or there are 11 episodes, 10 for season 1 and 1 coming up for season 2 is what I'm looking at. So this would be something worth exploring. Looks interesting.
But before we do that, we're going to have to do Loki, I think, aren't we?
We are going to have to do Loki. This time I'm ahead of you. I am ahead of you. Loki just came out this week. And newsflash, boys and girls, it appears that Loki will be being released on Wednesdays every week. We kind of all got into this Friday thing. And we have got you and I had the discussion that it became like our Friday night thing, that we made dinner, and then I would sit down with my husband and my son, and we would watch WandaVision or Falcon, and then they came out with Wednesdays, and I'm like, what is this crap?
You're gonna have to change our whole schedule, damn it!
Right? What are you doing to me? Like.
Now, did I ask the question before how you felt about Mr. Hiddleston? Because I know he's a strong lady's favourite.
I actually adore him, but not for the reason that most ladies do. Well, here, I have this thing, and people get really angry with me. I don't know what it is, but I am not a huge fan of longer hair. Okay. And I think it can make a person look totally different. So I find him adorable and endearing when he has super short hair or when he's like a full suit. But for some reason, when he's got the long hair, I just really like him. But I'm not like, woo! Yeah. But yeah, I think he is a great actor. And I don't think there could have been anybody better that they could have ever picked to play Loki. I think he is perfect.
He is great. Just that sneer he gives.
Yes. He's that lovable villain.
Lovable English rogue.
Yeah, perfect. That is exactly. Yeah, I would go with that. That's a perfect description.
When you're the god of mischief, you can pretty much get away with anything.
Yeah. His trademark attributes, according to IMDb, is that he has blonde Gene Wilder hair, a warm smile, expressive eyes, and a deep, smooth voice. I will say he is an amazing narrator. He's done some audiobooks. He is fantastic. Now, he is one of those that, I love his voice.
Voice is smooth as silk.
Yes, I'm here. I am here for that.
Well, he's got sort of the when most Americans think of the English accent, it's Tom Hiddleston or Hugh Grant. It's that very posh, hello.
Yeah.
And people say I talk posh, and I don't think I do. But it's so I always try to say to people there's these wide varieties of accents from the UK. We don't all talk with a plum accent. We haven't got all plums in our mouths.
Well, that's kind of like in the US. We don't all have the same accent, and it's for some reason. Have you ever noticed when there's a movie and they're trying for them to be Southern, they're like, "Well, I do declare," and I'm like, yeah. We do not. I'm probably as Southern as they come, and trust me. So there are different levels, apparently, of accent for you guys, just like there is for us. So
absolutely,
yeah. So yeah, I'm excited to see where Loki goes. I won't spoil anything because I have already watched episode 1.
Well, I mean, if we keep to this month-to-month schedule, we might get to finish it, but it all depends on timing, I suppose.
Yeah, I think we could do this. Yeah. And we may also, for special shows like that, who knows, maybe we will do our afternoon teas like we've been doing, where we just talk about that one show for 30 to 45 minutes and, not have all the segments. But we'll see.
Yeah.
For sure.
That sounds like a very good idea to me.
Yeah. One of the things I wanted to mention really quickly, I'm not sure if you guys have seen a post from our wonderful leader, Andy, but right now we are having what we're calling pilot season. And pilot season is if you have thought at any point you ever wanted to have a podcast, or you had an excellent idea for a podcast, maybe you don't want to be the voice behind it, but you're like, I know this thing that would work really well. Well, if that is the case, you can reach out to us here at the Place to Be Nation Pop Experience and let us know, like, hey, I'd really like to be part of, what you do. It's not intimidating. I mean, it can seem intimidating. I'm the person that, like, my very first episode of anything probably stuttered more than I am right now, obviously. But it's a phenomenal thing that I've been doing this for almost 5 years now, and it's fantastic. And we always love more talent or love ideas, basically. So if you have a suggestion for our pilot season, please send them over to us. If you just want, like I said, if you have a suggestion or if you want to record your own podcast and be part of our feed, we are looking for people that might want to basically do more movie reviews like Ben and I constantly do, or TV reviews, which, yes, that's our thing, but we have room for more. Sports. We would love sports, video games, maybe pop culture, or I would love to have someone review books with me. I'm just saying. You can either give us a submission in the form of a produced podcast or even a written pitch. If you just have a pitch, that's fine. We can work with you to produce it. And if you're just interested in being a guest on one of our many, many shows, please reach out to us as well. We will note that a submission or entry or idea does not guarantee that you will immediately join the feed or your podcast will be picked up. It's just like when a ABC or NBC gives ideas and then they say, thanks, but no thanks. We're also not going to steal your ideas. Don't worry about that. But we are open to new ideas. We are open to new talent, and we would love for you to come join us here. So reach out, let us know what you got.
Hey, Andy lets me do a podcast where I get to watch bad movies every month. So, that's kind of where, yeah.
There's also the option to write articles. If you are a person that can put things into prose really well, you could write some articles for the website too. That'd be great. So one of the things I mentioned in getting new talent here was discussion of television shows, which you and I do quite well. But like I said, we'd welcome more, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, we share the wealth around here. We're not like a shop.
But I guess the question for them is how they feel about Parks and Rec. And the answer to that would then make a decision, right?
Oh, yeah. If you're a Parks and Rec person or not, that's the...
Yes, that's your official interview question. How do you feel about Parks and Rec?
Can you grow a handlebar mustache? That's the other...
I cannot grow a handlebar mustache.
No, you can't.
But
I bet you have some lovely binders.
I do have lovely color-coded and descriptive binders.
Yeah!
Fantastic. And that's what makes me a wonderful Leslie Knope. So, if you hadn't figured out, one of the other shows that brought Ben and I together as friends, so initially what happened is the COVID, which I hate using the word because, and sometimes Apple Podcasts or Stitcher or Google Play are like, they said the forbidden word.
Yeah, we are not there. That is redundant.
So anyway, before the Pandora's box, when that happened, Ben and I were friended. We were thrown together with a group of other people where we live watched a show while we drank because we were so distraught over Pandora's box.
Yes, it was that Mr. Atherton again, wasn't it?
It was that sneaky fox, Mr. Atherton, is what led to Andy and I being friends because I was in a horrible place. I'd got told, you have to stay in America. You can't go anywhere. You are stuck. So we drank heavily and watched a movie, and to my knowledge, I don't even remember what that fucking movie was at this point.
I can. So as I remember it, we did the group watch. Was it She's Out of My League we watched?
Yes.
And then we did another. It was kind of a group watch. It was just me, you, and Andy, and we did Naked Gun 2.5.
And then we all did another one. What did we do? We did another one. Anyway.
And that's when you told me about the whole Tesco Slovakia thing, and that's why we got, and basically we kind of got talking, like, and yeah. I think Andy at one point had to say, guys, you need to talk about
Yeah, because I was like, wait, Tesco, I love Tesco. You work at Tesco? I love Tesco. Wait, I love tea. You love tea? And then we were like, 24. Did we just say the same thing at the same time? He's like,
this episode of Telly and Tea sponsored by Tesco.
Right, it's only. They would give me all my goat cheese flavored chips for free. So guys, so if you didn't know, Tesco's like Walmart over here, kind of, sort of. So that's what I'd compare it to for people in the States that are like, what the heck is a Tesco?
Basically, Tesco is the UK's biggest supermarket. We're not as big as we once were, but we're still the biggest.
So I do a lot of my grocery shopping at either Tesco or Lidl, which you're also familiar with because it's also a UK company.
We love a bit of Lidl.
Yeah. So when I get things though at Tesco, I will send pictures of them to Ben and be like, "This shit's amazing." He's like, "My shop doesn't have that." I'm like, "Well, your shop needs to get it." So like chips, smoothies, like I don't know what's going to happen to me when I go back to America and I don't have a Lidl or a Tesco and I'm like, I need my goat cheese chips. Which is why I am Leslie Knope, because I have weird things that I love. So Parks and Rec ended up becoming one of the other things that we kind of like bonded over. And we always said we wanted to talk about it one day. So we're just going to give like a rundown. We might go in depth in certain areas and then not in others. But Parks and Rec is a wonderful thing. If you have not seen it, I highly recommend it. It ran for 7 seasons. There are some related series that you can check out if you end up loving people from this. There is actually a craft competition hosted by Amy Poehler and Nick Offerman, who play Leslie Knope and Ron Swanson. Again, there's a theme I am seeing here. The banter between those two, like the banter between Falcon and Winter Soldier, is what brings you to the table for this show. I mean, would you agree?
We love the banter. We love the banter.
I do. I love a good banter. So 7 seasons, right?
Yes. So for me, when I started watching it, I also started watching The Office at the same time. Okay. And I know we had this conversation on our very, very first episode. I'm not saying I hate The Office. I just can't get into it at all.
I think it's overrated.
Well, I'll tell you for why. The first season and a half is literally, in a couple of cases, word for word, scene for scene, stolen from our version of it.
It is. The British Office, if you've not watched it, is phenomenal. And I think, though,
our version, apart from Parks and Recreation, is the funniest show I've seen in the last 20 years.
But if I'm not mistaken, that Ricky Gervais, who is the reason that your Office, the first Office, happened, he also developed it for the U.S. And so that's why it is verbatim. Season 1 and Season 1 are identical.
I'm pretty sure I'm right in saying Stephen Merchant and Ricky Gervais are executive producers on The Office.
Yeah.
And, that does not. Like I say, I don't think they stole it out of spite or out of thing. I think they obviously had permission to do it. I'm not saying it like that.
Right, because they created it, so they were like, "Oh, let's just make it American." But I think they would have done better.
Yeah, so there's that first episode where, and I always remember somebody going crazy about the whole stapler in the Jello scene. I'm like, yeah, I've seen that.
I've been there, done that. No thanks. So I understand. Yeah, for you, it is literally the same thing. And for me, it was as well. I had seen the British version because we've had this discussion 1,000 times. It's one of the reasons why we're here together. I watch a lot of British television. I have since I was a child.
So our version of The Office literally lasted. So it was only 2 series and 2 Christmas specials, but it's just so much better. And I'm sorry, I will go to the grave with that. I mean, one day, I've said it in other chats. One day, I probably will watch it fully.
So I'm
not saying I'm a hater or anything like that, but
I will have to say I am finally kind of sort of watching it because I'm trying to be a good mother, and here's why. My son found clips of Dwight.
Yes.
On YouTube. Now, my kid is 15, for those of you that do not know, and my kid is on the spectrum. So his what he finds funny sometimes, I don't find funny. That's not saying my kid is not funny. My kid is freaking hysterical. Actually, what was the first thing he asked you that I laughed for like 5 minutes? Oh, I remember what it was now. So the very first time that he decided he wanted to talk to Ben, he was like, Mr. Ben, and he goes, yes, and he takes this horribly fake British accent, and he goes, do you like crumpets?
By the way, Gareth is better than Dwight. Sorry, I had to get that out.
But
anyway, so anyway,
my kid is hysterical. Like he is. Ginny and I have talked about him on Geeky and Sassy. He's hysterical. So I'm not saying he's not funny.
This is my long way around of saying I had two shows I was watching at the same time. So Parks and Rec was the other show, and I've got to say, it's probably the biggest beneficiary of like streaming in this country that we've had, because it was on it wasn't even on Sky. Nobody had it. Nobody picked it up.
Oh, that's right. It didn't merge over, because a lot of times what happens is like whatever is on our TV and vice versa. So a prime example, another show that we discuss a lot here, Great British Baking Show. You guys call it the Great British Bake Off. But anyway, we get it on PBS.
Yes.
So it merges over. And so a lot of times that happens for us. If it's an American show, it comes on like, you guys do have some CBS channels or on Sky or,
So now we've got like things like Sky Atlantic, which is basically co-owned. So it's Sky and HBO. They own that channel. Mm-hmm. Parks and Rec was on nothing, but it dropped on Netflix. It dropped on Amazon Prime, and I got both of those. And I was like, okay, I'll give it a go. And I've got to be honest, that first season and 3/4, for me, it's got to be one of the best examples I can think of a slow burning show.
Yes.
Like it's its own reward for the viewer. Like, and I'm not part of this community that think like Mark was a bad character or anything like that, but you can see there was no chemistry there, was there, between him and Leslie? No chemistry at all. And it was only till the dynamic duo came in that show went to places.
Yes.
But so when Ben and Chris come in, and they come in at the tail end of season 2, like I say, you're watching it to that point, and you're thinking, this is all right. I'll carry on with it because I love Ron and I love Leslie, but and I want to see where the Andy and I want to see where the the Andy. I can't. I've lost track of her name. What's Aubrey's horse? April. Sorry.
April.
Where Andy and April go, and I want to see where that ends up. But I'm not like, this isn't like an hysterical laugh out loud show, and then it goes
and
it clicks, and it is. It's just, and it's the most, and it is the most wonderful show, and it's one of those as well. It finished at the right time. It finished, exactly at the right time when it's at its zenith, at its peak. And I personally don't think it actually let up in that last season. I mean, I think it was because that last season was a lot shorter, so they could, there was a lot more to pack in. They didn't have any filler episodes. There's never been like a recap episode, as there. I know that's a big staple of American shows, is the recap episode, and there's never any of that going on. And what I really like is it's not like how in Friends where Rachel all of a sudden goes from like waitress to, high flying Ralph Lauren exec in the space of a couple of years. There's actual natural progression with the characters in terms of jobs in their life. Like, you always knew like Leslie was going to be going on to Washington. That was always going to be a thing.
We hope, you hope, because that's like in episode 1, she even says like her goal is to blah 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 blah. Like, that's what she wants for her life.
And sorry, I'm cutting it again. That whole thing with Ron being so anti-government, establishment. You knew he was going to end up with a job which was one of the most governmental jobs going.
Right.
Fortunately, he was able to combine that with this massive national park, but it was still like, that is where your life's going to be, Ron. We know this.
I think the thing about that makes the show so amazing is you have you have multiple main characters, and you were truly invested in what is taking place in each of their lives. And their lives obviously all interlap and go together, but like you know, Andy and Anne have their own thing, season one kind of going on, and Ron's just Ron, and then Ton and Domina and their antics, and then Leslie, and then like you said, when Ben comes in, and then Chris comes in, and then you add April because it's now Andy and April, and there's like this whole like thing that unfolds that you want to know what is going on with every single one of them. And it's so funny, but one of my favorites is actually Jerry.
Oh God, yeah. He's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
And which actually his name, they've called him like everything, because I guess it was like on day one when he first started, and he's been with the company like, because he ends up retiring at the end, and they're like, wait, who's Gary? And they're like, Gary? They realize it's been him. He's had the wrong name. They've called him Larry and Lenny and Terry and Barry, like since day one. They have never called him by his real name.
The great thing about Jerry is obviously he's one of those characters, like you say, they don't hate him, but they sort of they think of him as this clumsome,
forgettable, like,
yeah. But he's the one who like basically runs the office, doesn't he? And mm-hmm. for lack of, he's one of Leslie's main underlings. If there's a menial job that he's doing, then by God, Jerry's going to be the man to do it. And then you get the whole thing of that episode when they go round to the Gergich's house for the first time.
And you meet his wife and kids, and everybody's like, what in the...
Because you've already met one of his kids, haven't you? Because Chris goes out with one of his kids, so you've already met one of them, and you're like, she's smoking hot. So, and then you meet the rest of them, and you're like, Jerry, you player.
Yeah, and it's really funny because apparently he's been with his wife like a really, really long time, played by Heidi Klum.
Yes.
And it's just really funny, and I love his character. Ben's character is fantastic because he is every nerd ever.
Yeah. I love when he goes to the accountants. Obviously, he goes at work there for a day, or any episode when he goes to the accountants and they just treat him like some Mac Daddy cool guy.
Yes,
like he is the coolest guy on God's green earth.
The cones of Dunshire.
Shire, yes. And then that the fact that becomes such a major part of the the big final storyline as
right.
well. But then it's little things like like you say. So like when it comes to season 5 and 6, it's such a well fleshed out show by that point. It's almost like I was on about this to a friend the week. It's almost like a live action version of The Simpsons in respect of there's all these secondary and tertiary characters in there.
That's a great description, actually.
They could genuinely have episodes just dedicated. Then like John Ralphio and his sister. They could have like an entire 2-episode run. You've got like the Fonz playing John Ralphio's dad, for God's sake.
Yeah, and when they pop up, you're actually like you're like, wait, what's John Ralphio up to? Wait, what is going on here? Like, what are they doing?
And then obviously it has probably the greatest guest star, I don't know about all time, but certainly in the last few years. Megan Mullally as Tammy 2 is just anytime she's on, is just like that's it. Ben Matters on. You might just don't talk to Ben for about half an hour because Ben's going to be crying laughing.
They had some great guest stars along the way. Tatiana Maslany was another really, really good one. Obviously, we said Heidi Klum earlier. I
like Nick Kroll as the DJ guy. He's very good.
Yes, he is very good.
Bill Murray literally trying not to corpse in that coffin. It's great. He's just got that big smile on his face. He's like, yeah, any moment now.
It's a world that you end up like falling in love with, and you end up seeing yourself in one or more of the characters. Obviously, I have identified as Leslie Knope for quite some time. I actually have this app that I use to keep up with the television shows that I've watched. Like when you watch an episode, you mark it off. And it actually asks you when you're setting up your profile, what TV character are you? Or like, who would you say you are? And mine is Leslie Knope.
I can believe that. I can believe that. I'd like to think I'm Ron, but I know I'm not a Ron. I know I'm a Ben, like that kind of nerdy kind of guy.
Leslie's nerdy too, though. That's what kind of like brings them together in the end. Yeah,
that's what works for them too. But yeah, like I think I can't remember if I said this on this show or on other shows. Like Ron Swanson is the manliest man who has ever manned, as far as I'm concerned.
Yes.
Like like there's that great line he comes out with, like, nothing cannot be improved with a breakfast, and I'm like, yeah, I'm with you there, Ron.
Yeah.
Breakfast and alcohol, and it's the whole thing. Like, obviously he loves his breakfast, he loves his alcohol, and then the woodwork, which obviously I know that's a real life thing as well, but like it's like he's just like the coolest guy.
And he plays the saxophone as Duke Silver.
Yeah. Oh, that episode when Andy finds out he's Duke Silver, that's amazing.
Yeah. And then there's things about him that only Leslie knows, like only he allows Leslie to know. He actually does like intense riddles and scavenger hunts, but only Leslie knows that. Like, she's not supposed to share that.
That episode when they get locked in together, when they've had the falling out, and
yes,
together until he fixed it.
He's so deadpan. That's what I love about him.
I think I can't remember if I said it to you. I can't remember if I said it to somebody else, but I would say the greatest comedy character in the last 25 years for me. I can't think of anybody, even Ricky Gervais, even David Brent. I can't think of anybody better than Ron Swanson, honestly.
By the way, Nick Offerman, when you're like looking him up without facial hair, is not right.
Well, I don't know if you heard that episode of Rank and File where they were on the North South, where they were basically ranking the Parks and Recreation characters, and it came down to a final of Ron and Andy, and I think it was Jordan Duncan who said it. I apologise if it wasn't Jordan, but he said something like, that show, you can imagine that show with Andy Dwyer. That show could still happen without Andy Dwyer. He's like you say, you've got Leslie, who's this perk, and that's what it is, the yin and the yang. You've got that perky, happy, super organizer, super everything she's done, and then Ron just basically just sits in his office. Like, what was that present he got one year? That door, the clicker to shut the door.
Oh, yes. It's little things like that you're like, I didn't forget that, but like I kind of forgot that, and then somebody brings it up. And what I love about Leslie is she's like a go get 'em. Like, she might have ADHD. She definitely does not need any more caffeine.
No.
What I love, though, is if you look up on like fandom, like, because they have fandom websites for everything, I love that it actually gives Ron's backstory. Like, he's a real person, and it's like early life. Ron was born to, like, and it gives you his whole. It's actually really funny if you go read it and you've never read.
I was disappointed when Ron got into a new relationship that there was not a Tammy 3. I was like, that is just a joke that they missed. But then I can live with it. But like that last season though, when they brought Treat Yourself back, I was like you say, like jokes you forgot about. I was like, treat yourself.
Yes. Oh, Caden is obsessed with that, but he doesn't know where it came from. So I've actually told him, because he, like I said, he found The Office, and he thinks Dwight is the most hysterical thing in the world. So he's been watching The Office like a lot. So I've been trying to be a good mom, and I'm trying to watch The Office with him. And sometimes I just don't like it. So I told him when he was walking through here the other day going, treat yourself. I was like, you know what? You really like The Office, and you love saying treat yourself? Let me show you where it came from, and you should watch Parks and Rec. And he was like, I don't know. And I was like, trust me.
Yeah, it's like those, when we talk about those secondary characters, they I know I hate using the phrase, but they all go on a journey. Like, Andy is basically this at the beginning is this bumbling oaf who's had that accident, but even if he hadn't had the accident, you could just imagine he'd be a bumbling oaf who'd just be sitting at home, you know, basically want to make his tea for him all the time. And they flesh him out, and that's just the brilliance of the brilliance of the writing, and B, the brilliance of Chris Pratt. But you've got, you know, Aubrey Plaza, who's, you know, amazing, absolutely amazing. Like that episode,
hysterical.
That episode when Anne leaves and she gives her the hug while nobody's watching. You know, stays so true to the character and all that. And there's that episode when, for whatever, I can't remember the reason why, but when they become friends and they do the time after time bit, and it's like, that is so real. And then Donna just comes in and sings the chorus.
This show is just all around. It has like a little bit of something for everybody. I tell people all the time when they are like, I love Chris Pratt. And I'm like, if you cannot handle him at his Andy Dwyer, if you cannot love and appreciate Andy, you don't get to love and appreciate Star-Lord.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just saying.
It's like when you tell people, like, you know, obviously he's like he's a proper like leading man now, and you're telling me he's in the show and he's fourth and fifth billed at best. And that's not because he's not brilliant. He is. It's just there's people who are, bigger stars at that point. So people like Rob Lowe, obviously, they're just there ahead of him.
It is kind of odd sometimes, especially like Tom Hiddleston we mentioned earlier, like any of these guys from the Marvel Universe, that it's you look at them now and you don't remember when they weren't big, like when, what I'm saying, like it's like, weren't they always a big deal? And then you go back and you're like, no, actually they weren't. Like Parks and Rec is the first thing I ever saw him in. Like I did not know who Chris Pratt was before Parks and Rec. Like I did not know.
Well, when I started watching it, I wasn't aware of the time frame, so I was like, I was honestly expecting him to leave at any moment, and he never did. I was like, okay. And then obviously, like, they do the London episode, and he suddenly lost, 60, 70 pounds. I'm like, here we go.
Like, this is when it starts changing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Parks and Rec, I actually did not originally watch, like, when it first aired. I don't remember why. I think this was back in the, like, oh, man, I already have so many shows, and I can only keep up with so many, and I can only do so much. So I think it was a couple of seasons in, maybe 3, 4, when I decided I'm going to watch it. And then I obviously binged what was available already and just could not stop. And then I did a binge when season 7 ended. It was like as soon as it ended, I started back at the beginning. And
this was a total binge job for me. So I had 2 shows. So I had this and Brooklyn Nine-Nine going at the same time, and now I've watched them both. I have this sort of comedy-shaped hole in my binge watching. And that was what I wanted to mention, like, in passing, like, the more general point of, like, when you finish the show and you're like, what's next? Like I say, this is genuinely for me, like, like I say, along with The Office, probably, actually, no, The Office and Afterlife, I would say, the top 3 best sitcoms I've watched, in the new millennia for me. So it's like, it's not that I feel dirty watching something else. It's more of a, what am I going to watch now that's going to be as good as this? There probably isn't anything apart from this.
That is really hard too, and especially when so I love the whole concept of just binging things now. I do still like the whole, like, oh, you get a new one every week. There's something to be said about both things and why both work. But sometimes when you binge, it's almost like if you're a reader and you read like the whole book pretty quickly and you run through it, you hit this like depression after you finish it, especially when you found yourself so connected with the show or the book or whatever. You almost hit this depression and you do ask yourself, like, what? First you tell yourself there's like stages of it. There's actually stages of like, wow, this is amazing, and you're riding the high, and maybe you start it back from the beginning or whatever, but you're riding the high of how amazing this show made you feel, and then you hit this, like, nothing is ever going to be this good, and then you hit this, like, oh, but now I'm going to always compare everything to this, and I'm not going to enjoy everything. So it is a really interesting concept, this show and others, to ask yourself, like, what's next? Like, where do I go from here? Do I restart it? Oh, back and then go back through it, or do I try to watch stuff that people are saying, oh, if you loved this, you'll love this, and take their word for it, or
if I messaged you or messaged somebody else, I could remember it clear as day. It was a Monday night, and I was like, I've got four regular episodes and the last year's COVID special to watch. I said, and I'm never gonna have a new episode of Parks and Recreation to watch.
I think you did message me, and you were like, "What do I do now?" And I'm like, "Oh," and I didn't have an answer either. I was like,
"Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know, because I loved this show just as much too."
Don't get me wrong. This is very much a first world problem, and I'm aware of it.
Oh, and we are aware of our my words just left me. Yeah, it is a first world problem. We are aware of our privilege on this complex thing that we are debating here, but nonetheless, we are debating it because we are aware of these.
I have actually decided that I have already downloaded quite a few episodes of Schitt's Creek, so that's going to be the next one to watch.
Yes, we will talk about that, because Schitt's Creek is. So for me, and I'll go ahead and tell you this, for me, it started a little slow in the but it's in that same sort of dry humor, really, really funny moments, but overall well done, if that makes sense.
But I think we said, like we said earlier on, but you can say the same thing about Parks and Rec. For the first season and a half, it's not, it's good. It only gets to good. It's never like, oh my God. And it only gets, and I'm not having too much of a go at the guy who played Mark, but it only really gets to that next level when Traeger and Ben Wyatt come into it.
Mm-hmm. So there's actually a website, because you got me thinking, and this is a question about we were saying in general, after you binge something and after you found something so amazing, what do you do next? But we're speaking specifically of Parks and Rec. There's actually a website that we have no affiliation with. I just randomly Googled and they were the first person that popped up. But it's called thethings.com. And they actually have 15 TV shows to watch if you still miss Parks and Rec. Okay. So let's just really quickly look at what they have to say. So they're saying number 15 is Community, which
I do like that.
Okay.
I do like it. But that is another one where I've started that so many times. But yes.
Same. I actually did start it when it first came out, because I am a sucker for oh, look at all these new shows this season. And I try to pick up all of them that sound interesting, and then some stick and some fall off and some never get watched.
I do like how meta it is, and then some of the pastiches they do as well. Yes.
Yeah.
The episode's amazing, but
Yeah. So their number 15 recommendation is actually one that I was going to give you, or their number 14. I think it should be a little bit higher, but whatever. It's The Good Place.
Yes, I do want to watch that because I love Ted Danson. Yes.
I love this show. It may be up there with Parks and Rec for me. It's amazing. I love Ted Danson. I actually love
her.
Do it.
And I say Jamila Jamil's in it, and she never did acting over here. She was a presenter over here. She's
hysterical. She's actually very, very good in this. And Kristen Bell, I love her. She's amazing. Number 13 is Arrested Development, which I never really got into. It has funny moments from what I remember, but I didn't stick with it.
Yes, yeah. So I watched that a couple of times, and then I'm the same as you. The whole once it went onto Netflix, that was it.
Mm-hmm. Number 12, I know a lot of people that listen to Place to Be Nation have watched this show. I know it's one of Jenny's favorites, but I could never make it stick. And it's The New Girl.
Okay, yeah, no. I saw a couple of episodes that I didn't like. Mm-hmm. It didn't do anything for me.
Yeah, it's one of those, some people really, really like it. I just, again, I'm with you. It didn't give me what I needed, so I moved on. Number 11 is Always Sunny in Philadelphia, which I've tried to watch some of, and it has good moments, but again, it didn't keep me enough.
That's another big Place to Be show, isn't it?
It is.
It's kind of one of them, so many people tell you it's brilliant, and then, do I watch it and I think it's shit? What happens then?
Yeah. Number 10 is Brooklyn Nine-Nine, which you are enjoying.
I love that. I do. I think that's. I think the reason I like that, and I don't know if you've watched it or not. I think it's just the fact that it's like almost like a traditional sitcom. Like now you have a lot of, like, you know, Modern Family, Parks and Rec, The Office. You have these interview-based, like, you know, almost documentary style, and Brooklyn Nine-Nine is still in that four camera old school mode. I really I appreciate that.
I would agree with that. The next one is one that we have discussed a lot tonight, and our feelings for. It's The Office.
Yes.
I can see the similarities. I really do. And there are some moments that are funny, that are funny. Overall, I don't love it, and I think it's a little overrated. So that's just...
I know exactly what my problem is. It's the fact that I've seen the British one first.
And I totally understand that.
I think if I had to done that, you know.
Right, and maybe that's my problem too, because I'm with you. I had seen the British one with Ricky Gervais before seeing this one. I don't know how this, to me, doesn't really fit on this list, but it's an excellent show. Number 8 is Glow.
Love Glow.
It's an amazing show. I don't know if I'd consider it I don't know, maybe because strong female characters, but
I would say comedy drama. I wouldn't say pure comedy.
Right. Number 7, I actually started, and it was good, but not really. Again, I think this one would fall in with Glow, like you said, a drama with some comedy, which is Master of None, which is Aziz.
Okay. Oh yes, I've seen that on Netflix.
Yeah, it's good, but it actually has some very difficult situations and very serious topics: racism, sexism, inequality, things like that. It's good. Number 6 is one that I never could get into. Again, I know a lot of people here loved it, and that's Archer.
Okay, no, that means nothing to me.
No, I have this thing, and I've explained it on other pods that I've been on, and I explain it heavily on the Muppets pod that Andy and I have started together. I have a love-hate relationship for when cartoons are very adult, like when they're clearly only for adults. I, for whatever reason it is, cannot usually get into them. There are a couple I have been able to, but Archer is not one of them. And I think it's because I actually still enjoy cartoons. I find solace and like peace in them. And sometimes I will just watch them. I don't need my son with me to watch them. Like one of my favorites ever that I will watch alone is Phineas and Ferb. So like I actually love the innocence to cartoons and the like adult undertones. But sometimes I have a really hard time when it is flat out, it is an adult cartoon. So I've heard Archer is great. It is not for me. Number 5, however, is a adult cartoon that I do enjoy, which is Futurama.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm with you on that.
I like it, but it's because like there's several episodes where you could have children in the room with you, and it's like The Simpsons in the sense that, of course, it's by the same creators, but it's like The Simpsons in the sense that there are multiple episodes where they just think they're watching a cartoon with you. They don't realize. I mean, it's got cussing and stuff, but still. Number 4 is funny, but I didn't stick with it. It was Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Yeah, I do like that. That is one I do need to do a big rewatch of, to be fair.
I know my husband liked that one, but I don't know why we stopped watching it. I know there are some shows that were on during the writer's strike of That's How Old. As I say, that's how old I am, but you also are familiar with what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, so there's some of these shows that I think came on during that time, and so like we didn't get TV for a while, and so we just kind of stopped watching, and when the writer's strike was over, we never went back to some things. So I feel like that was one of them, or maybe I'm wrong.
I think you could be wrong.
Yeah. Number 3, I actually have never heard of. It's called Fresh Meat. I think it's a new show.
No, that's if it's the one I'm familiar with, that's a British show, and it's
yes, I see that now here with Jack Whitehall. It says.
So basically, it's 6 people who get to university, college for you guys, and they get to live together, and it's their interactions all together. So 6 totally different people who you'd never put together in any other situation, and it is fantastic, and I love it.
I will have to try that one then. Number 2, I get a lot of flack for liking and loving, actually, but it's How I Met Your Mother.
See, now, I'm with you to a point because I watched the first 3 seasons and I did enjoy it thoroughly, but I'm very much of the opinion that Ted should have just got with Robin in the first place, and that was let's just cut to the chase.
I used to think that. I used to be one of those that I was like, just let's get this over with already. But then, as it went on, and they're going to be doing a new show called How I Met Your Father. And it's a spinoff. It's a spinoff, obviously, and I'm interested to see where it goes. A lot of people are doing the about it because they didn't like How I Met Your Mother. And I wanted to remind people, because our good friend Jenny does this, and Jenny does this thing that she's like, maybe I'll hate watch it. And I was like, you do realize when you hate watch something, you're giving it the ratings it needs to stay on television. And she's like, I know. And she does know because she's a very brilliant person. She's very smart. She's aware of this. But there are a lot of people out there that are like, I only hate watching it. And I'm like, do you understand how ratings work?
You might think you hate watching it, but you're watching it. You might watch it and hate it after the fact, but you're watching it.
Right, you are still watching it. But I did not hate watch How I Met Your Mother. This actually was one that I used to binge before binging was really a thing we were doing.
Like I say, I've only watched up to a certain point. Am I right in thinking that the reason people hate it is because they didn't like who the mother turned out to be? I know who the mother is, and I know what happened, by the way.
A lot of people did think that when they got to that final thing and they kind of like revealed it all, they were like, are you kidding me? Like, there were people about that, and there were people that just thought this group of friends in general was like over the top and like full of themselves, and there were a lot of reasons why I've been told personally why people ended up not liking it, but I loved it. And I don't know, to me, you're watching these shows and like, yeah, maybe it's not realistic, but that's not why I'm watching it. I'm watching it to, like, we read books, like we watch shows, like we watch movies, to remove ourselves from Pandora's box.
I say that a lot of sitcoms. A lot of sitcoms are not realistic. Let's be honest.
Right. Let's be realistic. They're not realistic. And their number one, which I actually kind of agree with, and I'd for a moment forgotten about the show, is Freaks and Geeks. Which also has Jason Segel, who is also in How I Met Your Mother. There's a theme. A lot of the people in these are reoccurring from one to another, like Aziz and Jason Segel and
Freaks and Geeks. I've heard about that. Is that the one that's only on for one season?
It may have had 2. Let's see. I know it was short-lived. I do remember that. It was very short-lived. I actually really enjoyed it. It ran from 99 to 2000, and it was a high school mathlete, kind of starts hanging out with a group of burnouts while younger brother navigates his freshman year, which is a very simplistic explanation of this. And it's in the 80s. Like, yes, it came out in 99, but it's set in the 80s. It has Linda Cardellini, James Franco, obviously Jason Segel, as I mentioned. But maybe it was only one season.
Now, Seth Rogen's in it.
Yeah, it's got a lot of, like, at the time they weren't a really big name, but now they are.
One season, 18 episodes.
Yeah, 18. It's that it took...
It's good appetite. Yeah.
It was in 2 years. It was part of 99 and then some of 2000. So that's where I thought there were 2 seasons for some reason. No, but it was just one season. Very short-lived, but it was really funny, and I really enjoyed it. I don't know if it holds up, though. So that's the question that you get to with some of these. Like, do they hold up? That would be things for us to start as we discuss shows. Maybe we should be like, does this hold up? Does this?
Yeah. I like this. I like this recommendation thing. This is good.
Yeah, so that was actually really, really good. Thank you. Oh, I just clicked the page off. Thank you to the website that put that up. That was not us, but again, it is pilot season, and we do need articles for the Place to Be Nation website. So if you can write amazing things like recommendations for what to watch after Parks and Rec, reach out because
good. That was really good.
Thanks. So this really cool thing happens when you watch Netflix, when you binge, right? So a lot of us binge on Netflix. It's like the most common, I think, universally. And they, I don't know, within the last year and a half, have added this thing that tells you like the top 10, and sometimes it's like it changes daily. But it tells you the top 10 in your area. And clearly everyone in the U.S. is going to be the same. So what I find entertaining is to, like, pull up the top 10 list on Netflix and have Ben tell us Ben's top 10. So what is the top 10 things on Netflix currently in the UK?
In his best chart rundown David Letterman style. So at number 10, because there's some new episodes premiering, I don't know how you're going to say it, is America's Got Talent. Is at number 10.
Interesting. Okay.
I find bizarre that would be on Netflix. I don't know why. Like reality shows in general, I don't think are like that binge worthy, if that makes sense.
Well, I could think of a couple of them that are. One that I've been binging that we're going to talk about further later is UK-based. Taskmaster, totally worth the binge.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Totally worth the binge. But you're right, like, because most of the time you already know who the winner is or what happened because of social media. So, yeah, I'm with you. Okay.
Well, I will also say, and I'm not being too jingoistic or nationalistic here, but I do find it funny that on a show called America's Got Talent, the judges are a Brit, a Canadian, a Venezuelan, and a German. That does make me smile quite a lot.
That is a very good point that I honestly never thought. I always thought about Sam and Cal not being American, but I never really put that. You're very right. That none of the rest of them are either. Okay.
Right, it's Sophia. That sounds horrible. Sofia Vergara is Venezuelan or Colombian. I never remember which one.
I believe she's Colombian.
Yes, that sounds right. Yes, not very. Yeah, South American though. I think I got the right continent. Damn it!
You're like, damn it! I knew she's not from North America.
Okay, our next two are children's shows, and like preschool children's shows. So if we're still watching these, Miranda, we've got big trouble. Although my last trip to the cinema, because we are allowed to go to the cinema now, was to go see Peter Rabbit 2. So at number 9 is Peter Rabbit.
I love Peter Rabbit. Peter Rabbit is actually one of my favorite stories from childhood. And I will actually, since you brought that up, it's in the cinema here too. And they actually have it dubbed in Slovak. So we get a lot of movies are in English here, but this one is actually dubbed in Slovak. But the poster hanging around town, obviously, because it's all in Slovak, I'll send you a picture of what it looks like. Because it is very different. It gets different.
So Keira Knightley's in it as Bee or Beatrix Miss Potter, if you will, and then James Corden is playing Peter Rabbit, obviously doing the voice.
I love him.
He is good. He is good. I find we'll talk about him in a sec because a certain other show he was part of. We'll mention that in a minute. But I understand people's objections to him. Let's put it that way. Number 8 is Peppa Pig, which I know is obviously gone to America. So that's
Peppa Pig is actually freaking hysterical. It came to America when Caden was still really little, so I have seen good chunks of Peppa Pig. That show's so funny.
7, speaking of sitcoms, is Superstore with America Ferrera, of course.
It's a good show.
I've watched a couple. Yeah, I think it's a good show. Number 6 is a show called Feel Good, which is basically it's a new show starring a comedian from over here called Mae Martin, and it's about her new relationship with her girlfriend George, also played by Taskmaster alumnus and Fresh Meat alumnus as well, Charlotte Ritchie. So yeah, I'll have to give that. I think that'll be very good. To be fair. Number 5 is the aforementioned. Number 5 is the aforementioned Office. So for some real big issue with Netflix, everything we've said about it.
Well, I think they removed it from Netflix for a while, didn't they?
Oh no, our Netflix still on our Netflix. I think it's gone to Peacock, hasn't it, for you guys?
Oh no, I meant in general. Like, didn't they remove our version from your Netflix and vice versa, and then maybe they put them back, or am I wrong?
They must have put them back because it's definitely here.
Okay.
It's a show I've not watched. I don't know about you. It's a show called SWAT. I don't think it's not SWAT Team, the one with David Boreanaz in it. It's just SWAT.
Okay, well, there was a movie called SWAT that is actually based on. Oh no, okay.
It must be. I bet
David Boreanaz is in SEAL Team.
SWAT that's it.
Has the guy from Criminal Minds, Mr. Chocolate Thunder. Dang it.
And Lena Esco are in it.
Yeah, I think that's the one. Okay, yeah. I have only ever watched some of it because Shamar Moore is in it. He left Criminal Minds to do SWAT. And if you've ever seen the movie SWAT, it's basically that, but in a television show.
I did like SWAT, to be fair, so I might give that. Give that a whirl. And
I think based on what you and I like, you would like it.
Yes. So number 3, like I say, like people have got issue with James Corden and his sycophantic nature, and I said I was going to leave it till we mentioned this show. Number three is Friends, which I think tells you the popularity of that show. I know you're not a massive fan of it.
I'm not.
And I've got to be honest. Like, obviously you probably haven't seen it, but the reunion show, apart from James Corden bits, were amazing.
I didn't watch the reunion, but the reason I didn't watch the reunion is because I didn't really. That show to me is one that has really good moments, like Phoebe's dead cat, smelly cat. Like that's funny to me. That is funny. Well, but because I wasn't like a huge fan of the show, I didn't watch the reunion. But I know a lot of people did, and it's actually a really big show here too. A lot of people that are our age here that do speak English, they watched Friends to help them with their English.
I just think I think it's just one of those shows, like say, like people our age. I don't think it matters where you are in the world. Like people know it. Mm-hmm. And you talk about Smelly Cat, like in the reunion. Obviously, Lisa Kudrow singing Smelly Cat with Lady Gaga is just
right. I did hear about that. I did hear about that.
Just unreal. Number 2 is a show that was on Amazon Prime, and it's got 2 seasons on Netflix. So I don't know if it's moved. I'm guessing it has. It's Lucifer. I don't know if you watch. I would watch Lucifer.
So it was on Amazon Prime for you because it actually was on Fox in the U.S. Oh, okay. And it was on Fox for several seasons, and then Fox was going to cancel it. And people were like, "Are you out of your ever-loving mind? This show is amazing." It is actually also based on a comic book, really coincidentally.
Netflix picked it up.
Yeah, so Netflix was like, hello, do you see how many people are trying to watch this show? You're crazy. So they picked it up, and it was only going to be for 1 more season. And then it turned into 2 more seasons. And then I think there's another one coming. It's an excellent show. And again, it is actually also based off of a comic graphic novel series.
And the guy who's in it, is actually started life as a male interest in a comedy over here called Miranda.
I know, I love that show so much for obvious reasons. I mean, I can't not love a show that's British called Miranda.
If that show does sound familiar to it, I can't remember what it's called, but the new Mayim Bialik sitcom is based on Miranda. What's it called? The one where she's with the cats.
It hasn't actually aired yet, I don't believe, or if it hasn't.
It's been on because I've seen a Twitter where I don't think it's been on. I don't think it's been on over here for us in Europe, but I know it's been on in America.
Okay, I was going to say, it may have started already, but, with the TV service I have now, sometimes I don't realize that the new shows have started, but I had wanted to watch that, but I was very scared to because Miranda is so well done. Yeah, so it's, I'm going to have to have a look.
Yeah. Got it now. Google check.
Be like, to Google Box.
Call me Cat. That's what it is. That's what.
Yes, Call Me Cat. Yes. As soon as you said that, I'm like, duh. I should have known that. But.
And the number 1, and I'm guessing it's a very, very new show, and that's why it's number 1. It's because I've never even heard of it. It's a show called Sweet Tooth.
Yes, it is very new. The preview looked amazing. I have not watched it, but I know my mom messaged me last night. I think it's ranked pretty high. I think it's also number 1 in the U.S. right now.
Yeah.
So my mom actually was like, "Have you watched this?" It looked really, really good.
Read the synopsis. I don't think this is going to be a barrel of laughs. I don't think this is going to be one. It's not going to be one of those family feel-good shows. So
I think it has moments based off the preview, but.
Well, here we go. So, on a perilous adventure across a post-apocalyptic world, a lovable boy, it might be, who's half human and half deer, searches for a new beginning with a gruff protector.
Yeah.
half human and half deer. So it's only 8. To be fair, I could probably binge that because looking at it, it's 8 episodes,
Yes.
and they're all about 50 minutes long.
Let's just do a quick check. Usually, I have everybody knows how I feel about Rotten Tomatoes because I have a love-hate relationship, and then especially when I found out how they get their ranking, I got all kinds of frustrated. but Rotten Tomatoes gives it a 98%, and the audience gives it a 91. One of the reviews said, "Love this show. Definitely give it a watch. It's intense, heartwarming, and original."
See, I was being all, what's it there? It's not going to have a heart, and then everybody saying it is. Okay.
Yeah.
And by the way, and I think this is another thing about streaming shows, which I love, is the fact that there is no like set time to them, like in terms of the episode length. So like 54 minutes, 50 minutes, 42 minutes,
Yes.
43, 40, 42, 39, 54. I mean,
Because it would still technically fit if it were on television for a 1 hour slot, because that's where commercial breaks would go, but it's also still, so technically when you're watching a show that comes on air somewhere, regardless of the country, if it's an hour, you're actually only watching like 39 to 42 minutes worth of show. Somewhere in there.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is Ben and Netflix's top 10. Woo!
That's fantastic. I think that's really cool because I was looking at the U.S. list, which obviously the majority of our listeners would be familiar with. And I was looking at the U.S. list at the same time, and there was not a lot of crossover this time. Last time there was a decent amount of crossover. This time, not so much.
Okay.
Interesting. And a lot of times the one in Slovakia is pretty close to yours. This is the reason why we chose Ben's, and Ben gets to go because technically our listeners would be familiar with what's on the top 10 in the U.S. So we want to give you like a view of what top 10s look like in other parts of the world.
Well, I suppose the other interesting thing, I mean, I don't want to run on too long here, is the fact that out of that top 10, 8 of them are American shows, and the only 2 shows that aren't American are kids shows. 2 kids shows.
That's funny. I was looking at the U.S. one. There's actually like one of the kids shows that's on the top 10 for the U.S. right now is actually one of your guys' shows, Cocomelon.
Oh, yes.
I apparently am glad my friends that have really young kids are like, be glad you were spared this show, that your kid is old enough he has no interest. I'm like, okay, thanks. But, yeah. So it's interesting to see what comes up on Netflix and what doesn't. So, show for us to discuss next time. I don't know. There's so many options. I know you would love nothing more for me to binge every stinking bit of Line of Duty there is. But let's be honest, that might take a while. So, on your side, loves all the American shows.
Yes, I would say that's quite a reasonable statement to make.
Yeah, so Netflix in the UK apparently loves the American shows, and the US Netflix apparently loves the British shows with that Cocomelon there. Which,
well, yeah. I think it may be a discussion for another show and another time. That obviously now, when I speak to some of you guys, not you specifically, but some of the other American people, and they go on about shows that are now on like Peacock and Paramount Plus, and we're like, no, it's on Netflix over here. It's like, no, they're here.
I run into that too, because like to watch Peacock or Paramount or anything like that, I have to try to turn on the VPN, and then I turn on the VPN, and it's like, oh, you can't do that. You have on a VPN. So like a lot of other American friends of ours are talking about these shows, and I'm like, yeah, I have to do a workaround. I can't just watch those. Like, it doesn't work the same way.
Well, it's like obviously a big thing, not for you, but for like a lot of people we know, is the whole WWE network being on Peacock and
part of Peacock. Yeah.
I try and say to him, I said, no, we're not we've not got Peacock, and we're not going to be getting Peacock.
Yeah. No.
NBC means nothing over here. It's literally just a TV channel in America. That's how we know it.
Yeah.
Same with CBS. It's like our BBC. It's just it's iPlayer and all that kind of thing. It's not this all conquering behemoth conglomerate that.
Right. Like, it is to us, but at the end of the day, like, it's not for other countries. Like,
yeah,
it's just not.
that's why they'll always have these international deals, because they just don't meet. They haven't got the market penetration over, in these countries.
It wouldn't thrive the way that they needed to. It's probably to a certain extent it would, but then after that, it just wouldn't thrive.
Yeah. Well, it's that thing. I mean, I'm not going to go too much into detail now, but it's that whole thing of like, if it doesn't happen in America, then we don't know about it. It's like America is the epicenter of the world. It's like, no, there's other things going on, guys.
Yeah. Right? But I mean, I kind of get it. So, with all of the streaming services out there, because there are a lot, and there's IPTV, and there's like servers, and just so much. And if you know about those, great. And if you don't, like, I can explain them later. But there's a lot of there's access to pretty much like any show that you could want at your fingertips. So that means that Ben and I have a lot of options when it comes to letting Jack sit on the shelf while we look at him lovingly and come back to him later. So we've made kind of a list between the two of us.
Yes.
You have, and I know that you would love nothing more for me to binge every bit of Line of Duty and then us have this huge Line of Duty discussion.
That's right. Sorry. Again, look inside the actor studio. Like, every time, like, Miranda mentions any time, like, she's getting BBC, I'm like, I play it, Miranda. You've got to watch Line of Duty. And she's like, yeah, I'll get to it at some point.
Because there's a lot to it. And I know you have seen NCIS, because that was another reason that you and I became friends. But that'd be like me looking at you and being like, Ben, there are 12 seasons of just this one version, and there are 3 versions of this show, and you need to watch all of them right now. Yes. So I have every intention of watching Line of Duty, but there's a list of shows that we want to cover, kind of in place of doing like the whole thing of 24. We'll get back to 24 in snippets, because it will always be our first love. We have shows that we want to talk about, and we want to switch it up, and we want to do some British shows, obviously, and some American shows as well.
Yes.
But if you have ideas for us, maybe there's a show that you think we haven't watched and you would love for us to watch, drop us a message. Both of us can be found in the Place to Be group on Facebook, which is the only Facebook group to be in because it's the place to be. We have a multitude of discussions. Obviously, there is a lot of wrestling because it covers all of the feeds. There are multiple feeds that are part of Place to Be Nation, or like sister family feeds, as we like to call them. There is a lot of wrestling discussion, and then there's silly discussion like, what is your favorite chocolate chip cookie? And the only answer is any chocolate chip cookie that is not dry and disgusting. That is the correct answer.
I need to ask you a question. This reminds me, Randa. Sorry to cut in again. As an actual American, have you ever heard of peanut butter on a burger?
Once it was like this new fandango, like, let's do something different burger, and I was like, what are you doing?
Thank. That's all I need to know. That's all I need to know. Thank you. That's given me. That's almost given me like verification. Thank you.
Yeah, I was like, what are you doing? No. If we want to talk about burgers on donuts.
What?
Yes, where the donut is the bun.
What?
Yes.
Are we talking with a bit of sugar on there? Are we talking like a bagel style donut, or?
We're talking like, have you ever had like Krispy Kreme?
Oh yeah.
Donut? Okay, so it'd be like a Krispy Kreme glazed donut, but with your burger, all the fixings. And you think this sounds disgusting, and it kind of does sound disgusting, and it's probably a heart attack inducing, but it's worth trying. Anyway, yeah, but peanut butter, no.
No, thank you. It's all I needed. Thank you.
Okay. But we answer a lot of silly questions like that in the group, so that is a very valid question there. And we just talk, and that's a great place if you would like to present an idea you have as well. And it's a place to talk to both of us because we actually have places that we are comfortable with people talking to us on the internet. Obviously, putting ourselves out there as podcasters, We are open to people contacting us, but we have places where we're comfortable and places where we're not. For me, I have created a Telly and Tea Instagram, which I'm going to try to teach this one over here how to work with me. But for right now, it is me answering, and you can follow us on Instagram at Telly and Tea. You can follow me on Instagram at Mom's a Nerd. I'm super comfortable with people messaging me over there. I have an open profile. I love people coming talking to me, and I love communicating with people in the Place to Be group. I know your ways of being contacted is just a little bit different. I know that you are in the group and you're cool with that. And you do the Twitter though, right?
I do the Twitter. So you can reach me at BenL1981. That is my Twitter address. And I have no problem at all with you reaching out to me on there.
Yeah. I am on Twitter, but I'm really bad at it. So like if you follow me, like I'll be like, hey, thanks, but like it might be a month before I say, hey, thanks.
Well, it's not so much I'm bad at the Twitter. I am good at it. It's just
I'm bad at
it. You've not met him, but you've communicated with Sean Kidd, haven't you? You know Sean.
Yes.
And he is a Twitter machine with all the plugs and everything, and I don't do any of that for my shows, but Sean does. Sean's like a little PA marketing exec for us all. Bless him.
Right. That's Ginny. I mean, Ginny on Twitter. I'm like, you too fast for me, babe. I can't.
So Sean's put it on there before I even know the show's available. So I'm like, I don't need to say anything because you've just done it for me.
But you can reach us at any of those things. Of course, one of the best things that you can do if you love us. Or if you don't, we prefer that you do, but if you don't, is to leave feedback for the entire feed. Yes, but you can leave feedback for the entire feed, a review, and talk about only one show. And if we're that show, awesome! So please, wherever you listen to your podcast, the best thing you can do for a podcaster is to leave a review or share it with your friends. So if you are enjoying Telly and Tea and you want us to continue, because now I have a place to record from, please do that as well.
She's not just recording in the bed. She's not just recording under the cover.
Right. They finally let me out of the cupboard. So, with that, boys and girls, we are both going to go to bed because we are highly caffeinated and don't need to be. And next time, maybe we'll bring you a more mellow tea and talk about maybe not something so dramatic and exciting. Who knows? Because it's me and Ben, and you never know. So thank you so much for staying around with us for this 2 hours, and we hope you come back.